Canto 25. Summary. Canto 25 opens with Vani Fucci in modern parlance, giving God the finger with both hands. The rude gesture, known as the fig, was made by placing the thumb between the fore and middle finger while making a fist. It had similar sexually obscene connotations to those that the middle finger has today. The defiance Fucci exemplifies becomes a microcosm for all of hell, open hatred and rebellion against God without hope of change or repentance. 2 snakes wrap around him and shut him up, for which Dante is thankful. The sinner runs away, and Cacus, the centaur, rides up looking for him, carrying a load of snakes and a fire-breathing dragon on his back. He chases after Fucci, and 3 more souls walk up after he leaves. They look up to the bank where Dante and Virgil are standing and ask who the travelers are. The 3 souls, who we find out at various lines in the canto, are Agnello Brunelleschi, Buoso degli Abati, and Puccio Galigai, called Sciancato the Gimp, all Florentine thieves. But before Dante can respond to their question, crazy things start to happen. First, a serpent with 6 legs, who is understood to be the Cianfa they were asking about, leaps onto Brunelleschi, wraps his legs around his body, and bites his face. Locked in this horrific embrace, the 2 bodies begin to merge into one. Combined in this way, they waddle off. Then a small lizard races up to the remaining 2 and jumps through the navel of Abati. Smoke pours out of his wound and out of the lizard's mouth, mixing together. In the midst of this merging haze, the 2 figures begin to transform into one another. The limbs and body of the man shrink and morph into the body of a lizard, while the body of the lizard grows and expands into the body of a man. While this scene is reminiscent of Ovid, Dante self-consciously surpasses the fantastical elements in the metamorphoses. The former lizard stands up and is revealed to be Francesco de Cavalcanti by way of the last line's reference to Gavile, the town where he was murdered, because of which Gavile suffered intense retribution from Cavalcanti's family, thus the weeping. Abati, now a lizard, scurries away while Cavalcanti yells after him. The one remaining thief, the only one left unchanged, is finally revealed as Puccio Galigai. Canto 25. Thieves. The thief, coming to the end of his words, raised both his hands, each one making the fig, crying out, "Take that, God! I give these to you!" From that moment, serpents became my friends, for one tightened itself around his neck, as to say, "I will let you speak no more," and another bound him around the arms, doubling down in front on its own self, so that the thief could no more shake his fists. Ah, Pistoia, why do you not decree your own burning, that you might not endure, since you have surpassed your roots in evil? Throughout all the dark circles of that hell, I saw no spirit so proud against God, not even him who fell from Theban walls. Without another word, he ran away. I saw coming a centaur, full of rage, crying out, "Where is he? Where is the green one?" I do not believe Marema has more water snakes than he did on his saddle, up to that point where our aspect begins. On his back, behind the nape of his neck, a dragon was lying, with wings spreading out, setting on fire whosoever it meets. My master said to me, "This is Cacus, who many times made a pool of blood there beneath the boulders of Mount Aventine. He travels his path without his brothers, for the theft he fraudulently made of the enormous herd that was nearby. His crooked deeds thus ceased beneath the club of Hercules, who perhaps 100 blows brought down, though he felt not even 10. While he was so speaking, Cacus passed by, and 3 spirits gathered there below us, whom neither I nor my leader noticed, until they all shouted out, "Who are you?" At which our discourse was brought to an end, and we focused entirely on them. I knew not any, but it came about, as it usually does by some chance, that one of them had to name the other, saying, Wherever can Chanfa have got to? Thus I, so that my leader might listen, placed a finger from my chin to my nose. Reader, if you are now slow to believe what I will say, it will be no marvel, for I that saw scarcely give it credence. As I was holding my brows raised toward them, a serpent with 6 feet hurled itself up onto one and clung to him completely. With the middle feet it gripped the belly, and with the forefeet it grappled the arms. Then it bit him through both cheeks together. It stretched its 2 hind feet around the thighs, and between them both shot its tail behind, coiling it just above his lower back. Ivy never rooted so to a tree as this horrible beast was now doing, vining round about his other members. After melding all together as if they were hot wax, mixing all their colors, neither seemed like what he had been before, like that darker color which spreads along the paper in front of the flaming heat, that is still not black when the white retreats. The other 2 watched it, and each cried out, "Oh me, Agnel, how you change! Already, behold, how you are neither 2 nor 1. Already the 2 heads had become 1, when 2 features appeared mixed together in one countenance, where 2 had been lost. 2 arms were fashioned out of the 4 stripes. The thighs with the legs, the gut with the chest, became members that have never been seen. Every former aspect was there destroyed. Both 2 and none seemed the perverse image. As such it trudged along, with slower steps. As a green lizard exchanging hedges beneath the blazing heat of the dog days seems a flash when it dashes over paths, so too seemed a little flaming serpent, livid and black as a grain of pepper, racing toward the bellies of the others. In that part where our nourishment is first received, it penetrated one of them. Then it fell down and stretched out before him. The pierced one gaped at it, but said nothing. Rather, standing still, he yawned, as if sleep or a burning fever had assailed him. He and the serpents stared at each other, both belching forth thick smoke, one through his wound, the other through its mouth. The smoke converged. Let Lucan now be silent where he tells of poor Sabellus and Assidius. Let him stay and hear that which is revealed. Of Cadmus and of Arethusa too let Ovid be mute, for if he makes one a serpent, one a fountain, writing poems, I envy him not, for never did he transmute 2 natures face to face whose forms were ready to exchange their own matter. They answered one another in this way. The serpent split its tail into a fork, and the wounded one's feet joined together. The legs together with the thighs melded to each other, and in such short time that no visible mark remained from the meld. The split tail took to itself the figure that was disappearing from the other, making its skin soft here and harder there. I saw the arms retreat into its pits, and the beast's 2 feet, which were short, lengthen as much as the others began to shrink. Then the hindmost feet, twisting together, became that member which man most conceals, but the other wretch from his 2 feet grew, while the smoke covered one and the other with a new color, and generated hair on top of one, balding the other, one rising up, the other falling down. Neither turned away their impious lamps. Beneath that gaze each was changing his face. He that stood upright drew toward the temples the extra skin, from which a pair of ears sprouted outwards from the flattening cheeks. That which remained and did not run behind formed from the excess a nose for the face, and fattened the lips to what was fitting. He that was lying down pushed his face forward while the ears retreated along the head, as the slug does with his horns, and the tongue, which before was whole and ready to speak, split itself, while the forked of the other closed itself again, and the smoke was still. The soul that had become a beast scurried away hissing through the veil, from behind the other, speaking, sputtered after him. Then he turned his new back to him and said, "I want Buoso to run on all sixes through this alley, as I was made to do." So I saw the seventh ring of rubbish, changing and changing again. Pardon me if the newness makes my pen somewhat stray. And although my eyes were rather confused and my soul was somewhat bewildered, they were not able to flee so furtively I could not discern Puccio Ciancato, for he alone of the three companions that came previously was left unchanged. The other one, Gavile, made you weep.